Welcome to the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Friday, July 21st. This is Gina McGuire. Over the next few days, we will have impacts to fire potential. No significant impacts today as wet thunderstorms will continue across Utah again today. However, as we move into later in the day on Saturday, Saturday night, and Sunday, we will start seeing these thunderstorms return initially late Saturday and Saturday night to central and eastern Nevada, and then eventually by Sunday spread north over the northern half of Nevada. These thunderstorms will have some moisture with them, especially over the eastern half of Nevada. However, will be a mix of wet and dry, and despite any chances at brief heavier rainfall, there will be the potential for dry lightning strikes, also in areas where fuels are very critical. By Monday, this chance of thunderstorms moves further north into Idaho as far as the mix of wet and dry storms. Thunderstorms will continue further south across Nevada and Utah, however, will likely be seeing increases in moisture on Monday. As we move at the last 24 hours, looking at overall lightning and precipitation, general lightning was focused across Utah and over the eastern side of Nevada and parts of the Arizona Strip, even into southeast Idaho and Wyoming. These thunderstorms were on the wetter side, especially across the higher terrain of Utah and over southern Nevada. There also was a cluster of lightning that occurred early this morning over northern Utah. Great Basin fire activity was moderate yesterday with 31 new fires reported. Over the last 1 to 30 days, we have seen general precipitation over the last week, again focused over the eastern half of the Great Basin, and some of this precipitation across Utah and the Arizona Strip was above normal for the time of year. Looking at the last 30 days, generally normal precipitation has fallen in spots across southern and eastern Utah, the Arizona Strip, and southern Nevada, with well below normal precipitation or no precipitation over the last month across the rest of Nevada into southern Idaho. How this has affected our fuel conditions, ERCs have now increased to above the 80th or 90th percentile across much of Idaho into northern Nevada. And looking at the fuel charts on the right, these areas where the ERCs are the highest across parts of Idaho into northern and western Nevada, ERCs are well above normal and actually approaching or exceeding records for the time of year. 10-hour fuel moisture also indicates how dry the grasses are, very low fuel moisture, really over the whole northern and western side of the Great Basin. Live fuel moisture conditions, as would be expected with these ERCs and low fuel moistures, have decreased significantly and are approaching record lows over parts of Idaho, western Utah, and are near normal but trending downward more rapidly across Nevada. As a reminder, we still do have a fuels and fire behavior advisory out for the areas shaded in red, mainly for the well above normal grass loading, where we're seeing grass loading 200 to 300% above normal. These grasses are very dry, but also now coming into play are the live fuel moistures and the larger fuels, which have decreased significantly in fuel moisture. The satellite loop from this morning shows generally high pressure now moved eastward over the southern plains, with more of a southwest flow across Idaho and northern Nevada. This is still keeping moisture across Utah, southern Nevada, and the Arizona Strip, and you can see the areas of cloud cover with that moisture in place. Much drier conditions continue across the rest of Idaho into northern and western Nevada. However, this moisture will be allowed to push north and west as we move later in the weekend and next week, bringing a return of those thunderstorms. Looking at the pattern for today, again, that moisture is still in place over much of Utah into Arizona, and we will continue to see decreasing ERCs and increasing fuel moistures in those areas as wet thunderstorms continue. However, again, very dry conditions persist over western and northern Nevada into Idaho, with very low daytime humidity and poor overnight recovery. Looking at the RH for today, those relative humidities will remain into the low single digits over much of the western half of the Great Basin, and obviously much higher further east. You can see the image on the right is where we expect those showers and thunderstorms today. By Saturday, we will start to see the moisture push a little bit further west to near the Utah-Nevada border and even into parts of central and eastern Nevada as we move late in the evening Saturday and in the overnight hours. We are not high-risking anything on Saturday, as these thunderstorms over central and eastern Nevada will start fairly late and be on the isolated side and be increasing more during the overnight hours and really more on Sunday. Conditions on Saturday still very low relative humidity over the western half of the Great Basin with poor overnight recoveries, and even some drying in some of the lower elevations of eastern Utah where you may start to lose some of that lightning activity on Saturday. So more isolated activity generally across central and southern Utah and then extending into eastern Nevada. On Sunday is where we'll see that more significant surge of moisture as this area of low pressure develops off the west coast and increases that southerly flow, so we will see thunderstorms develop over much of the northern half of Nevada and continue further east. So we are high-risking that area over the northern half of Nevada for lightning. Even though these thunderstorms will be a mix of wet and dry and not truly on the dry side, they will be producing some gusty outflow winds and also the potential for drier strikes in areas where fuels are very critical. Here are the conditions on Sunday. The RH does come up a little bit as that moisture pushes north, but still low relative humidity in the low to mid-teens. You can see the picture on the right shows where we are expecting those showers and thunderstorms throughout the day on Sunday. Overall forecast amounts of precipitation will remain generally heavier across Utah, where showers and thunderstorms will continue, and much lighter as you move further back into Nevada, where any wetting rains will be more spotty until that moisture really takes hold. If we start to look into next week, moisture really starts to increase on Monday across much of Nevada and Utah, and we will likely see more increases in humidity and better chances for wetting rains associated with any thunderstorms on Monday across Nevada. However, that moisture does start to push north into Idaho on Monday, and that's where the concern is most elevated, as these thunderstorms will be on the drier side initially before that moisture moves north. Again, further south we will see some moistening of the fuels, with the exception maybe being on the far western side of Nevada and the Sierra Front, where maybe the deeper moisture will remain further east. By Tuesday, plenty of moisture in place really across all of the Great Basin with the exception of the far western side, so we will start to see that moisture move up into Idaho. With those thunderstorms, we could see some areas of wetting rains. We have not high-risked anything on Tuesday for the northern part of the Great Basin, but we will continue to monitor this, as if the deeper moisture stays further south, we may see that continued threat of increased fire potential. On Wednesday, we start to see drier conditions now push into Nevada, pushing that lightning activity generally over the northern and eastern half of the Great Basin. By Thursday, that drier air starts to push even a little bit further east, so we will see drying conditions gradually from west to east. Overall forecast amounts of precipitation for the next 7 days is shown here in the image, and you can see again those chances for wetting rain eventually start to increase as we get into Monday and Tuesday next week across Nevada and Idaho. However, on the western and far northern fringe, it likely won't see as much chances for wetting rains. The 8 to 14 day outlook takes us into the very early part of August, and you can see still warm conditions and now drier conditions below normal precipitation over the northern portion of the Great Basin, with any above normal precipitation potential really being pushed down to the far south. That concludes our briefing for today. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Thank you for listening.